Brothers Ford, Patrick Eads, and his staff on Mormon Trek. Steve Anderson, Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Mike C. Keys for Cars. Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip. GT Carr and his crew at Supple's Building and Remodeling. Supple's Flowers, home of 1-800-800-ROSE. The Midtown Family Restaurants. Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, 101 South Dubuque Street, downtown Iowa City. Diamond Dream Sports Academy. Premier Automotive in North Liberty. The Oxyoke Inn and the Amanas. Streets Maintenance, Remodeling, and also Plumbing. Dr. Lance Forbes, Diamond Dental in Cedar Rapids. And Big Dog Tech Solutions. Here's Tom Suter from HawkFanatic.com, Pat Harty, and Coach Don Patterson on the line.
Well, Coach, it's a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day Saturday, and to paraphrase Charles Dickens, it was a tale of two halves. What did you think Saturday?
Well, it really was a tale of two halves. We started slowly, and that was one of my concerns going in, is that we not allow it to be a one-score game for any great length of time. And, of course, at half it was only 6-0, and you could certainly tell that Illinois State was pleased with that. They weren't going to. They had, I think, about 45 seconds maybe on their last possession, but they really weren't interested in taking any chances at all with the ball as the half wound down, because they accomplished their goal. It was still a one-score game at halftime, and 6-0 was not what we wanted, but it was certainly pleasing for them and their fans. I think penalties have a lot to do with it. I believe 6 of our 7 penalties were assessed in the first half, and that's enough to make it a little more difficult to convert on downs. Even a 5-yard penalty makes it more difficult, of course, for the next few sets of downs.
So, Don, what was the difference in the run blocking? In the first half, the run blocking I thought was terrible, but then in the second half, all of a sudden, and I know some people have said, well, the passing game opened up the running game. On Caleb Johnson's 64-yard touchdown, there were 9 people in the box. There was hardly anyone flanked out. They just carved out a huge hole for him. What was the difference in the run blocking?
Yeah, I think primarily we just wore them down.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay.
Yep.
That's what. Yeah, and they were injured, too. They had a lot of guys go out.
Yeah, they did. They had a lot of guys that were in position to limp off the field or maybe just be dehydrated. I'm not sure what the injuries all were. But it's safe to say we bruised them up a little bit in the first half, and they lost some players. And it was a warm day. I know it actually seemed pretty warm to me.
No, it did.
Proud even.
It was.
But I will promise you, it was a lot warmer down in the fields than it was up in the seats. And I think the depth had something to do with it. I know I did text Brock after the game, and I said, Brock, you guys are going to be fine in the Missouri Valley, because you're not going to run into the depth issues that your opponent presented you with today. I think our backups are better than theirs, and we played a lot of backup players, and in so many cases they still had their starters out there, and they put up a good fight, especially through the first half. But then I think we wore them down.
Yeah, no, okay.
It's that old adage about pounding on that rock.
So nothing magical, just good, battle of attrition, and of course Iowa is going to win that battle. It was weird when Johnson broke through on that long run. Right when he got through the line of scrimmage, there was nobody left. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
They were all so far up the line of scrimmage. Okay, Don, let's obvious Cade McNamara looked as good as I've seen him look. The play where he spun around in the pocket, came around and threw against his body, going toward the Iowa bench, and completed that pass, I believe, to Ortworth. Don, that was a big-time play. That looked like Cade at Michigan.
That was a beautiful play, and what excited me when I saw it, and I didn't realize it at the time, but when I saw the TV copy, it appeared, I know we used to teach when a quarterback has to flush, and that's what, he escaped the rush, and he had to buy time and maybe even run the ball. We didn't know how the play was going to play out, but the way we used to coach it, when a quarterback is able to extend the play, as a receiver, you do one of two things. You either work deep down the field, or you come back toward the line of scrimmage. You do not work parallel. You've heard me talk about it. We threw 2 picks against Ohio State back in '85 that really had everything to do with the outcome of the game. And in both cases, we were working parallel, meaning parallel to the line of scrimmage. So the beauty of the play, I believe, is that was simply an ad lib on the part of Ortworth. And, of course, he and Cade were on the same page. Cade bought us time, and Ortworth realized there's a possibility here that I can get over the top of the defense and make a big play.
And in fairness, that defensive back, it was covered. I mean, the guy's defense was just a perfect ball and catch.
Yeah, but I do not think the play was designed for Ortworth to be that far down the field.
Okay.
He simply reacted to what happened.
That's probably part of the reason he seems to play and have a knack for making big catches. And Caleb Johnson, of course, he didn't play the first half. I mean, but then he comes out, like you said, Don, he had fresh legs there. That team was tired, and it made a big difference. But it showed the depth they have at running back. And I mean, if they can run obviously they're not going to run for 240 every game, but if they can run for 175 to 200, they got a chance to win every game. I mean, it's so much easier to play Hawkeye football when you can run, right, Don?
Absolutely true. And you've heard me say before, it's a real luxury to never, ever have to play with a tired running back.
Yes.
You know, you put in another guy that's got fresh legs, and you're still running at full speed.
Now, Donnie, I could be wrong about this, but I don't remember Cade McNamara being sacked.
Well, I've got the stats.
He was not.
He was not
sacked. To my knowledge, he was not.
No.
There were several times when he did a really nice job of escaping.
He did.
Had good pocket awareness, and you've heard me say before, the challenge for a quarterback, you need to see the field and feel the rush. You know, your eyes cannot be down on the pass rushers, but your eyes, of course, have to be searching for your receivers versus the pass coverage. So you just have to have a sense for the rush, and I think Cade demonstrated he had a good sense for the rush, did a good job of sliding within the pocket, and for that matter, pulling the ball down and running with it. It was just good to see. I couldn't help but feel the first quarter for Cade and everybody else was really rough, but second quarter I saw us start to gain some confidence. We did produce a little over 100 yards offense in the second quarter. And, of course, within that quarter, Cade pulled the ball down and ran with it a time or two, which I think gave him a chance to gain confidence again with how he was prepared to play.
He's going to have to do that, too.
We simply built on how he finished the first half.
Yeah, and he's going to have to do that this year if he's going to be their full-time starting quarterback. And right now, I think we can put the quarterback controversy to rest. Granted, it's one game against a team they should beat, but he answered the bill. I thought he looked good.
He did.
Luke Lachey, 6 catches. He almost does it quietly. I mean, if he gets 6 catches every game, he's going to have 70, 80 catches this year. But Sebastian Castro, I'll tell you, he's never out of position. He just makes so many plays. It just seems like he's in complete control, and like the game has slowed down so much for him.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch. And, of course, he did cause the fumble.
He did.
Early on, that was recovered by TJ. So that was a significant play, of course, that killed their drive and gave us a good field position. Plus 3 on turnovers, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign, yep.
You heard me say last year we were not very good in the area of turnover margin, and we're off to a positive start. I think we had one ball, as I recall, that was loose on offense that we were able to recover.
Yes.
It was a nice effort to recover it. I can't remember who did it.
LaShawn Williams lost it on a screen pass, right, when he was cutting. I can't remember who recovered it, but no, you're right.
It was a stringer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
It was a stringer, 87. You're right about that.
Hey, we had 2 freshmen in there named Reese, spelled differently, but both of them I thought had pretty good debuts. What did you think of the punting, and what did you think of Reese Vandersee?
Well, my only comment on our punter, of course, you shouldn't expect him to punt as well as Torrey Taylor as a freshman. But just one simple thought. Make an effort to keep the ball on the field unless you've been told to punt the ball off the field. Even on our pooch punch, you know what I mean by a pooch punch?
Yeah.
We're out around midfield. We used to see a lot of corner punts. You can kick the ball out of bounds a little bit short of the goal line. But nowadays, our preference is simply to hit the ball with that reverse rotation that we do and allow it to hit inside the 10. And of course, it's a little bit like a short iron in golf. With a little bit of luck, it'll bounce straight up in the air and give us a good chance to kill it inside the 10. You don't see a lot of corner punts anymore because that requires a lot of precision, I think most coaches feel. The better thing to do is simply punt the ball end over end with that backward rotation and give your coverage a chance to get down on it and kill it before it goes in the end zone. So we did have a punt or two that came off the field. People are always surprised when that wing official keeps walking up the sideline to spot where the ball went out of bounds. But, of course, there's a definite reason to do it that way. He's looking back towards someone that can line him up with where the ball was when it went off the field. And, of course, in a couple of cases, we didn't – one for sure. I remember I think even people around me said, I think we got a bad spot there. Probably not. It's just that you don't have any good angle to view where the ball really went off the field. And so, unless you've been told to punt it off the field, for God's sakes, keep it on the field. And for that matter, when you punt the ball a long way laterally, in other words, it wasn't punted down the field. It was punted at an angle, left or right. Clearly, you're taking away from your net punting because the ball simply can't fly as far if it's flying downfield at an angle versus straight down the field.
And then as far as Reese Vanderzee, 6'4", 207, played baseball this summer, so he got here late, dealt with some injuries, played quarterback in high school. It just goes to show you, if you're good enough, you're going to play. Even if it is an accelerated learning curve. But what do you think of him, Don? I thought he was good hands. That ball he caught in traffic, probably the worst decision McNamara made was the touchdown to Vanderzee, the second one, because that should have been intercepted, but Vanderzee caught it. Yeah. Just your thoughts on it.
Yeah, that ball, when it went up, I certainly thought it was up for grabs when it went up.
And it was, and Vanderzee was the best one. He caught it.
Yeah, and he caught it for two reasons. One is he was tracking the ball, and Illinois State's defenders were not tracking the ball. They were tracking the man, or tracking both receivers that were in that area. So they made the mistake of not playing the ball. Reese, meanwhile, did a great job of playing the ball, high-pointing the ball. The ball was not even conveniently thrown for him. You might recall he had to reach over to his right, as I recall, to fill the ball at a high point and then pull it back to the position he was in. It was like he was shopping in the grocery store and he pulled something off the top shelf.
Yeah.
Well, he's tall enough.
Yeah, that's where his height really helped him.
It was good to see. I was very proud of two receivers in particular, and they're kind of obvious. They're the guys that got the most snaps.
Jacob Gill.
Number 5 and number 15, yeah. Yep. I don't think they did anything to lose their job.
Oh, no.
And it's kind of obvious, at least in this game. Our number one personnel grouping was 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, and, of course, that leaves only room for 2 receivers. So we feel good about our depth at tight end. That's why you saw 2 of them out there so much of the time, at least versus one opponent. And we clearly feel good about 5 and 15. I guess the obvious question is, will the guy that missed game 1 be our 3rd receiver? I suspect he will.
I think he will. Yeah.
Don't you think, Taylor Brown?
No, I think I think he will be right. I think they're going to have a nice 3-person receiver rotation. Maybe Bowie can get in there and help him too. The thing I liked about Gill, he had 3 catches. 2 of them he got hammered on, hung onto the ball.
Yeah.
Big catches, I think, for first downs, at least one of them. And then the third one, Don, explain to our listeners what he did. He broke from his route and created an opening for Kate. It was just really crafty, but I'm really impressed with Jacob Gill.
Well, there was the touchdown in the north end you're talking about?
Yeah, the 31-yard. Yeah, the 31-yarder.
Yeah. Let's not give him all the credit, because I'm pretty sure the credit goes to the offensive coordinator.
Okay, explain that to our listeners.
Yeah, let me explain. I got it written down here. 31-yard TD pass to Gill. It was the second consecutive TD drive to start the second half, of course. That play was designed to be – there was a double cut, and I don't think it was an ad lib. I think it was called because it was just too coincidental that Cade put on his brakes and put himself in position to throw the ball back across the field a little bit. It looked like it was a throw that was going to go to the outside part of the field. But at that point, you saw Gill cross hats with the defender. In other words, it looked like he was heading to the defender's right, and all of a sudden he puts his foot in the ground, he breaks back across his face to the left, and Kate did not seem surprised at all that happened. I think it was simply an out and up or a post move, if you will, off of an out move. But the bottom line, it was well thrown. It was a beautiful catch by Gill, and you're right. He got pasted a couple of times and had no issues at all protecting the ball. Here's another good sign. Let's go back to the first catch of the day for RV. I'll call him RVZ, right? Reese
okay.
The first play is what I would call a play action bang route. A bang route is simply a slant route, but it's deeper down the field. I think it was a gain of 18, as I recall. And the only thing about that play, we used to throw it with a lot of success, especially when we were at Buffalo. The only tricky part about it, if it's a one-high safety, in other words, if there's a safety in the middle of the field, that receiver better get ready to get hit. And he was hit. He was hit pretty hard. Had no difficulty hanging on to the ball. His first catch was 18 yards, and both the quarterback and the receiver, and for that matter, I'm bragging on the offensive line because Kate had plenty of time to make that throw. There wasn't. It was really. It might have even been called this way. It might have simply been the kind of pass that you have the option of throwing the ball. You're familiar with RPOs, right? Run pass option.
Yes.
It's entirely possible that was an RPO. I don't know that. It might have been a play action pass designed to be a pass. It might have been a play where Kate simply decided, I'm not going to give the ball. I'm going to fake the run, and I'm going to go ahead and take that bang route. Maybe he felt good about it based on coverage. There was a seam in there that he could easily hit. The linebacker was no factor because play action affected him. And the safety was deep enough where Reese could catch the ball and protect himself and produce an 18-yard gain. Really a nice play. Nice execution on the part of the quarterback and the receiver.
So from an offensive standpoint, Donnie, can you give us a little thumbnail sketch on what fundamentally different the Leicester offense is compared to what we've been running?
Because to the casual observer, it didn't look any different.
It didn't look completely different.
No, I didn't look at but I'm not saying that as criticism. It just didn't look any different. It just worked.
So can you answer that question for me? Or?
Well, I think I can. First off, you did see a lot more motion than we've ever run before. Let me give you a couple of examples. Here's one thing I enjoyed. We finished the first half, and, of course, we're all disappointed we didn't do better in the first half, although we did have over 100 yards offense in the second quarter. Thing that pleased me, we started the second half with some plays that were not run in the first half. You're regular to the start of the second half. Why motion to an outside position, you might remember.
Mm-hmm.
Tight end was lined up next to the offensive tackle off the ball. And the next thing you know, he's motioning outside to be the widest receiver on the field. We ran a stop for 10 yards the first time. We did it a second time, and I think it might have been worth more than 10 yards even. In the meantime, that wide receiver, it happened to be Reese, I believe, in both cases. He put himself in position to actually make it a rub route a little bit for the stop route to the tight end. In other words, he prevented that flat defender from getting out there and being any threat at all. So we had an unmolested throw, uncontested throw, I guess a better way to say it.
Unmolested, they both work. They both work.
Yeah. There was no threat with an underneath pass defender. It was an easy throw and catch. And here's what I want to do about our tight ends. I want to brag on those guys as a group. They caught the ball very efficiently. I believe there were no drops. And they did a good job after contact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what good tight ends do. They fight for extra yardage. I give Luke an edge, I guess, over the younger guys. But all those guys did a good job of picking up hard-earned yards after contact. And that's what you expect a good group of tight ends to do.
Yeah, no, I think they're fine at tight end. I think they're stacked at running back. I mean, we barely saw Terrell Washington. Jazion Peterson didn't play. They've got plenty of depth there. To me, it's the offensive line, and I think this will be a good segue into, as like Kirk was saying today, it's probably, I'm sure he's saying, time to move forward. And, boy, what a game coming up. I watched did you get to watch Iowa State much, Don?
I did. I watched the whole game.
What'd you
I
think?
It and watched the whole game.
What'd you think? I watched some of it.
Well, I think their biggest concern is how to get off the field on defense.
Yes.
Their defense is sound. They didn't give up many big plays, but they just got converted too many times to count. They couldn't get off the field on third down. A lot of those were third and short, third and 1, 2, or 3. Give North Dakota credit for at least having some idea of how to advance the ball on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a lot of 4 and 5 yard gains by North Dakota. In the meantime, of course, the reason the fans got frustrated, Iowa State didn't have the ball very much, but in their defense, they had a really annoying habit, if you were a North Dakota fan, of making big plays. How about the first drive? 2 plays, 75 yards.
I did not see that. What happened?
Well, they simply decided we're going to chug it down the field, and we're going to see how quickly we can score. And it didn't take long, I believe. Let me see how the yards changed. First play action go route to Jalen Knoll. That was plus 54.
Okay.
And one play later, 21-yard TD. It was a fade route to Higgins. Incidentally, those two receivers, priority one for us, we got to slow down those receivers.
They're really good.
They had 13 targets and 13 catches.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
100% to 2 wide receivers, and they weren't all stop routes and out routes. They were balls thrown down the field. Beck is playing with a lot of confidence.
He certainly is.
As you know, he's a coach's son. His dad was an NFL player. I believe he's coaching now. That kid's playing with a lot of confidence, and he should be. Because, of course, he was trial by fire last year, and he certainly had good success last year, and he's ready to start off as a better player this year. But Higgins and Knoll are outstanding receivers. We got to find a way to slow those guys down.
And I will say, Beck, compared to the first time he played it, he's a completely different quarterback than he was. I mean, he's grown so much since then. So has their whole offense. Now, do I trust that the Iowa defense is going to show up and play well? Yes. I think this has a chance to be a really entertaining game. And if sometimes these Iowa State games are boring.
Sometimes they are.
But, I mean, so Don, do you expect, obviously Lester wanted to come out and establish the run. He stuck with it. And do you think that will be the same approach Saturday? Let's get out there and let's try to start winning this line of scrimmage at the beginning. What do you think his philosophy is going to be?
Well, it makes a lot of sense because if you were trying to identify an Achilles heel for Iowa State, it might be their inability to prevent 4-yard runs.
And there
were a lot of 4 and 5 yard runs that gave them short yardage on third down and gave them a great chance to convert and keep the ball away for a while longer. They had one drive that was 23 snaps. It was 22 plays on offense for 88 yards. It resulted in their field goal. They're only scoring the first half. But the amazing thing, their time of possession, let me see this time of possession. For the game, I think it was, 38 minutes to 22, as I recall.
Jeez.
Huge difference. In the first half, it was even more pronounced. It was 22-29 versus 7 minutes and 31 seconds.
That's incredible.
Another way to put it, North Dakota's fourth possession, I wrote it down, their fourth possession of the first half started with 48 seconds on the clock. Only 48. It's rare when a typical game has at least 6 possessions in a half. They barely had 4. The fourth possession really didn't count. You know, they really didn't have a chance to do anything with it because there was less than a minute remaining in the first half. They had a long field. And so they really only had 3 chances to score in the first half, and they converted on 1 out of 3. In the meantime, of course, Iowa State had 4 chances to score because they started the game with the ball. So they had 4 legitimate chances to score. And at half, it was 14-3. They scored on 2 out of 4. And obviously that's not a bad start. If you can average a touchdown with every other possession, you're going to be in good shape over the course of the game.
I will say, obviously, I'm stating the obvious, if Iowa wins the time of possession battle that decisively, they're going to win the game. North Dakota just wasn't good enough to to finish all those drives. I mean, what they finished with 3 points? Wasn't it 21-3?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, but Don, if I was able to get 4 and 5, I mean, if Cade's looking at 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 2, they're going to win this game, isn't that? I mean, Iowa State, and that's your concern. Like, if Iowa keeps the Iowa State defense on the field, I mean, it's going to be hard for Iowa State to win.
I think that's true. I mean, let's face it, time of possession is a stat that's good to have on your side, but I always qualify that because in any number, just so you know, it's not anywhere near the top of the list when you're looking at individual parameters, because there are 2 ways to win time of possession. One is for you to do a great job of controlling the ball with your offense. The other way is to simply give up a score in a hurry. If you allow the other team to score 2 plays in 38 seconds, then congratulations, you're going to win time of possession in the first quarter. But is there any way you can give up a touchdown much quicker?
No,
I
that's
guess
true.
It
could be misleading.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened. You're right.
Yeah, so one thing that Iowa State's going to do, I think over the course of the season, they're going to make an effort to be a big play team. They should with those receivers. They're going to take shots. They're going to put the ball down the field because those are 2 outstanding receivers. And not that they don't want to run the ball, because ball control is a great thing to have on your side. If you can consistently run the ball, then that'll count for a lot. It's going to be hard to run it against Iowa, of course. Incidentally, is it pronounced Sama or Sama?
I think it's Abu Sama. Abu Sama?
Yes.
Sama. Sama, as you noticed, kind of limped off the field a little bit. I think it's simply a minor ankle sprain. I don't know that he ever came back to play. I don't believe he did, but they didn't need him, of course. So I would expect that Sama will play against us. Be a little surprised if he doesn't. The bigger question, of course, is what about the middle linebacker?
Bacon, is that?
Yeah, I don't think we know yet if he's going to play or not.
That would be a huge loss.
Like some kind of lower leg injury. I think probably a foot or an ankle. Might be a knee. Helped off the field. It was his left leg. I just don't know if it's a knee or a foot. And he did not come back. And it sounds like, at least as the game ended, they really didn't know what his injury status was. He might recover, he might not. Don't know. It looks like it's more significant than anything else that happened during the course of the game injury-wise.
I will say I'd be very surprised if Iowa gave up a bunch of big plays against Iowa State, even with those receivers, and I think that was obviously part of it with North Dakota, too. The Iowa defense didn't force a lot of turnovers last year, Don, but you know with Phil, they're really good at limiting big plays, so it's going to be interesting to see if Iowa State doesn't have that option to fall back on as the game unfolds. How do you think they will respond? Okay, we're going to have to grind this thing out. Do you think that they can grind out a win against Iowa if they're not getting big plays?
I think they'll have a hard time doing that. I don't think they're going to – their dilemma, it's going to be hard to beat us with ball control offense. And obviously their purpose is to sprinkle in any number of explosive plays. Mm-hmm. And they got, I guess you could say they got at least 3 players that can do it. You got the 2 wideouts, plus Sama if he's healthy, because he's shown he can, can break a lot of big runs too. Even though he really didn't do it. I think he had 5 carries for 38 yards. He didn't play very long, so it's really hard to know what he might have gotten done last Saturday. But they're going to try to, for sure, hit us with some big gainers. Mm-hmm. Trying to do 1 or 2 different things, of course. And I think I've mentioned this before. I think I mentioned it last week. Amazing stat. We've taken it to the highest level now. In 10 Big Ten games last year, we gave up a total of 13 plays, 20 yards or more. And the average fan might think, well, that sounds like quite a few. The answer is no, it's not. Because second place in the Big Ten, with a distant second place, was Michigan with 22. We gave up 13. They gave up 22. And they were the next best in the entire conference. That gives you an idea of how good we were in eliminating big plays.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's going to be tough for Iowa State to win with that formula. But you never know. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. And what did you say the weather?
What I saw was a high of 67, according to Bug. May get up to 70, but it's going to be cool.
Upper 60s from the weather service.
Yeah.
And no precip?
No precip.
What do you think of that, Don? Second game of the year in the 60s.
Well, I like it better because after the game, I was more than just a little bit sweaty, and I wasn't even playing.
Yeah, well,
it was hot.
In my seat, I was a little bit warm. So I think it'll be a more pleasant day. I think the ideal air temp for a football game, if you're out in the crowd, is something in the 60s.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
Well, when I left the press box after being in the air-conditioned press box all day, when Dallas and I walked out and hit the air, I mean, it was hot. And that was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30. I could not believe how hot it really was. I mean, it was warm and humid.
My sister-in-law had to go down to the aid station after the first quarter.
That solar energy makes a difference. You know, a warm day that's overcast is one thing, but when that sun has a chance to start baking on you, it's going to feel a lot warmer.
Well, and then a lot of people are probably dehydrated to begin with for various reasons.
Well, she wasn't. I mean, she didn't
And
drink.
I'm not saying her. I'm just saying.
Zero wind also.
Yeah, but a lot of people in that stadium were probably a little dehydrated.
For sure.
But yeah, no, that's great that the weather is not going to be a factor. So, Don, here's one for you. I'm not putting you on the spot because it's more than just that. But let's say one quarterback plays clearly better than the other. Does that team automatically win, do you think?
Well, it's hard to measure clearly than the other. That certainly might make a difference, yeah. If one guy's throwing with great accuracy and is threading needles with their passes, let's face it, you know, we do a good job of keeping eyes on the ball. And if there's a passing lane, it's not very big, so you better be accurate with your throws. Rocco Beck appears to have pretty darn good accuracy with the way he throws. I didn't see a bunch of circus catches. The ball was pretty much on target. So the challenge for Cade will be able to throw the ball, thread the ball, a lot like he did in the second half.
This is a question to either one of you. As they were really sputtering in the first half, I know there's, people were wondering how long Cade's leash was. I was not surprised they stuck with him. I'm just curious. Were you either one of you guys surprised that they didn't try Sullivan? Because I just have always thought it was Cade's job to lose, and he wasn't going to lose it in just a half. I'm just curious.
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, you know, I certainly expected Cade to start the second half.
I did too.
And he did. And my rationale was simply, okay, Cade started off slowly, but second quarter was better than first.
Yeah.
He's getting the rust off. He's going to play him better in the second half. That's exactly what he did. My disappointment is we had a chance to also get the rust off Sullivan. And I'm not talking about playing him in the third quarter. I'm talking about playing him in the fourth quarter.
I was surprised he didn't play in the fourth quarter.
We thought that too.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one.
Yeah, we got all kinds of experience, all kinds of backups. And I know you could argue, well, Sullivan's not an inexperienced quarterback. No, he's not, but he still hasn't played a game since last fall. So it would have been nice to get him more significant snaps. At the end of the game, of course, with the clock under 2 minutes, he had no chance to throw the ball at all. He simply handed it off a few times, and we all went in. So I wish the backup quarterback would have played sooner. Let's face it, if just for the sake of argument, if Cade gets injured late in the game with 4 minutes left, we're wondering why the heck he's in the game.
Oh, God, Seth Wallace would have been – I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Of course, we've got hindsight, but I was with you. I just thought it was a little peculiar. But we've said that before with Kirk on the sideline. So maybe Seth was just doing what he assumed his boss and mentor would want to do. But if you're Kirk and you're watching that game at halftime, Don, there's no way Kirk doesn't panic. But what do you think? Because obviously people asked Seth if he had spoken to – he couldn't talk to Kirk.
No,
but what do you think Kirk was thinking at halftime?
Well, I think Kirk probably thought this. Illinois State's doing a good job of not beating themselves. I say that. Of course, we generated a couple of turnovers in the first half, I think. Let's talk about that for a second. You talk about a nice break on the ball with Jamari with the interception.
It sure was.
Now, here's my cautionary note for Jamari. Jamari, you better be ready for a double cut out of Iowa State because they're going to go after you.
Yeah.
And you better be careful about jumping that short route because they're kind of crazy not to try you out with the double cut.
Okay, and Don, that's a good way to move over to the other side. I thought TJ played well. Your thoughts on TJ, and what would your advice be to TJ going into the Iowa State game? Same thing. Don't let him beat you deep.
I think I couldn't help but notice. It appeared to me part of Illinois State's plan to start the game was to go after TJ.
Oh yeah, without question, and understandably so.
Yeah, there were any number of balls that were thrown his way. He played them okay. They had very little success throwing underneath TJ, and I think TJ would be the first to give some credit to linebackers like Nick Jackson, who tipped one early, and TJ contested some throws, but at times we had good pressure on the quarterback. The ball came out without the kind of accuracy it needed. But the bottom line is, I think maybe TJ got the starting night in part because he was fundamentally a little more sound than the other corners. And it all starts, of course, with not getting yourself beat. So he gave it a cushion, but he reacted up. And happy to say, too, that Castro caused the fumble. TJ recovered the fumble.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a nice turnover in the early stages of the game. Not to mention, of course, Jamari's interception. And then second half, we got another one. So +3 is a great way to start. We didn't turn the ball over on offense. We only had one ball on the ground that we recovered. The touchdown pass, that ball, I'd be very tempted if I was studying the tape to go ahead and give Cade credit for a touchdown pass, but also credit for a poor decision. Because you could argue that ball should not have been thrown.
No, you're right. When it was thrown, I'm like, oh, my God, what's he doing?
Yeah.
But it worked out.
First off, if you go back and look, they clearly had pressure off that side, and there were two rushers coming off the edge. There was an overhang rusher, and then a rusher just outside of our offensive tackle. And the only problem with that scenario is we had exactly one running back to try to block two guys. And it obviously can't do that. So as a result, they hesitated just a second, maybe because they weren't sure what the back was going to do. And that gave Cade just enough time to throw the ball. But, of course, he couldn't step into his throw. He threw it up for grabs. And thankfully, our guy did a better job of playing the ball than anybody on this side.
And speaking of the rush, what was Iowa State's rush like against how much were they able to put pressure on the quarterback?
To me, it looks like their primary front is a three-man front.
Yes, 3-5.
So you have the center covered with a nose tackle. You have a couple of edge rushers. Seems to me like the constant pressure is more so on your offensive tackles with those wide rushes than on the guards and centers. Now, there are times for sure they claim to be a three-man front, but you'll see any number of snaps where one of those linebackers, he doesn't have his hand on the ground, but he is standing on the line of scrimmage, and it'll certainly present as a four-man front. So you'll see some four-man front looks. You'll see a lot of three-man looks. But it looks to me like those edge rushers are pretty darn good. Here's where North Dakota did a good job. That quarterback's a good runner. There were a number of times where he had no choice but to step up in the pocket because those edge rushers were whistling off the edge. And he had a good sense of where they were. And so, as I used to remind our guys, if you think of the pass rush as imagine a big clock on the ground with the quarterback in the center of that clock. Well, edge rushers mean you get pressure at 3 o'clock, pressure at 9 o'clock, right? Pressure off your left and right side. Let's imagine you drop back and you're at 8-yard depth. By the time the rushers get on your yard line, they're at your 3 o'clock and at your 9 o'clock. They're left and right. So if you get pressure at 3, pressure at 9, you step up in the pocket. Clearly you can't back up because you're even more vulnerable to those edge rushers. So pressure at 3, pressure at 9, step up in the pocket, and now you simply slide right or left based on the inside rush. So there were the good news with the three-man rush. You had it. There's only a nose guard that's in there that's coming, so you simply have to navigate away from him. And there are opportunities for you to pull the ball down and run for decent yardage. Their quarterback did that for North Dakota. And otherwise, of course, you can simply step up and make your throw with the ball being on time. So that's a possibility, too.
Were you happy? I'm sorry. Were you happy with Cade's mobility for the most part?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it looked
yes,
fine.
I did too.
I thought he was a little bit tentative in the early stages. But as the game wore on, it looked to me like he was more and more comfortable extending plays, which doesn't necessarily mean running the ball down the field. Although, as you know, a couple of times he did that. It seemed like every time he did it, he seemed a little more confident about making that decision than he did in the previous similar circumstance. So I was glad to see that. I do want to brag on Tim and just talk about the value of game planning. Let's take you back to that second half. Let me check my notes here because I want to be sure and speak in a real factual way. Yeah, okay, 3rd and 3. Let's talk about 3rd and 3. This is the first touchdown drive of the second half. So we drive down the field, stick the ball in the end zone. 3rd down and 3. I simply wrote down, great call. Let me tell you why it was a great call. We went empty. You know what empty is, of course. We've got 3 receivers out on one side and 2 out on the other. Nobody in the backfield. Earlier in the game, we ran what I would call Y stick, or you might call it Y flat. So imagine that Lachey is the number 3 receiver, and he's simply going to go up the field and put his foot in the ground and break sharply outside. And we're just talking about a 5-yard throw to simply gain another first down on 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did that in the first half. Here we are, 3rd and 3. This time it looks like another Y stick, except this time it's not. It's Y stick and no, it's a double cut to the tight end. So Lachey presents as another stick route, and then when the linebacker overreacts outside, he turns up inside of him. It's a throw and catch for 19 yards. It sets us up down on the goal line, or I say on the goal line. I think we're on the 12, maybe, 11 or 12. Another great call. This is the very next play. One play later, we go tempo, which we hadn't really done all day. And you know what I mean when I say tempo? We're going to play fast.
Was that
We're going to get
Caleb's?
lined up in a hurry. We're going to snap the ball in a hurry. We ran naked. We faced left. We rolled right. He looked to the outside to take a short throw. But then when that throw was fairly well covered, he looked to the over route that was coming from the backside of the formation. That over route was thrown to RBC, as I call him, for a touchdown. And it was a well-executed play. And it was also predicated on snapping the ball in a hurry. They really weren't, even if they wanted to think about what the play might be, they didn't have time to think about it. Because we simply hustled to the line and snapped the ball. It's an all-purpose play. You're taking a little bit of a chance with a play like naked, because if you do see pressure off the wide front, off that side that the quarterback's rolling to, obviously there might be somebody up in his face. But in this case, there wasn't. So he rolled right. He had time to look back inside to the receiver that was coming from the other side of the field.
No, it was impressive
and
play.
Did a good job of throwing and catching that play.
Yeah, and then, Don, yesterday they got a commitment from a 4-star receiver, picked him over Iowa State, Purdue, and Minnesota. So it was a great weekend for Hawkeye football. Before we wrap up, I can't believe we're almost an hour in. I wanted to ask you about a few other games. First of all, did you have a chance to watch the Colorado-North Dakota State game on Thursday?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of Sola native Cam Miller?
I give him a lot of credit for playing better than what I thought he was going to be able to play.
Me too. I didn't think he had that in him.
I'll tell you one reason why. I think Cam Miller would tell you one reason I'm playing well is I got a great quarterback coach by the name of Randy Hedberg.
Okay.
You've heard that name before.
Yes, I have, and I've heard.
Tell you a while back in time.
And I've heard you talk about him. Yes.
Yeah, he's an outstanding coach. Cam Miller's playing better, and I don't want to beat up on Cam Miller because he's playing very good football for North Dakota State. And I'm sure there were a lot of people, even maybe that live in Solon, that were skeptical about how well he was going to play in college.
And I could see. I mean, I don't blame Iowa at all for not recruiting Cam Miller at the time because nobody envisioned this, and no Power 5 school really recruited him. So no, it's amazing what coaching and commitment can do, right, Don?
Yeah, let's give Cam a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But let's give some credit to that position coach, and let's give some credit to Cam Miller's teammates because he's got a good supporting cast. He did a nice job. And let's talk about game management. Colorado came within a hair of screwing that game up, as you know.
Yes, they did.
They could have run the ball late and ended the game, and they didn't do that. They threw incomplete a time or two. And the next thing you know, the last play of the game, the ball goes down on the 4-yard line. And if you're Colorado, you're thinking, we got to learn from this. That was stupid on our part. Now, I don't know if Coach Pride's ever going to admit that he made a mistake, but he should.
But no, you're right. I will say, in fairness, his kid is a hell of a quarterback.
He is.
And that Travis Hunter, Don, he's as good as any player I've ever seen. I mean, he played almost every snap at one point in that game.
Yes, he is. And the only cautionary note there is you better not kill the kid off, because at some point, you've heard me say before, that's the beauty of having a good backup running back.
Yeah.
That star running back, that's your starter, doesn't have to be injured because he was simply fatigued. And anybody that's trying to play 70 and 80 snaps in the month of September, good luck with that, because you're more vulnerable to injury. I don't care if you are Superman. And you're right, that guy might be Superman, but he's also a little more vulnerable when he's taking his 75th snap.
No, you're right about that. That's a great point. Now, looking around, I was talking to Tom prior to the show. I tried to watch as many games. Wisconsin, Michigan State, Minnesota, very uninspiring. Their offenses were but then I watched Washington. Granted, they were playing Weber State. Washington's got some players. I mean, they've got some talent. And then I was really impressed with USC last night. Did you watch that game last night?
Yeah, I didn't. I saw the highlights. I saw a lot of scoring plays. And you're right. Let's face it. I mean, we know about Death Valley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I do, because I coached a game in Death Valley. That's a hard place to play.
Well, no, this game was in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
they
it was
played
in Las Vegas.
This game was in Las Vegas.
I forgot about the neutral site.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, LSU is a formidable opponent, as we know.
They were ranked higher.
And frankly, both offenses, from what I know, gave a good account of themselves.
They did.
And the obvious question is who's going to blink first. And you've got to give SC a lot of credit. They answered. It must have been a great game there was, because it was just back and forth.
It was fun.
Right?
Yeah, it was. But there was still good defense, too. I mean, yes, USC's defense, of course, was horrible last year. They took the guy from UCLA, Deontay Lynn. He's now their coordinator. They did a lot of bending, but, they only gave up, what was the final score, 23 to – was the final score 23 to 13?
I can't remember. It was something. I mean, it was 28-24 or something.
They didn't give up a
it was
ton.
Close.
They didn't give. I think it was 23 to 13, but I could be getting that mixed up. But no, they came up big when they had to. But no, Garrett Nussmeier played.
It was definitely higher, Pat. The only reason I know that is I remember the scoring went late in the game. It looked like it may go overtime.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it mixed up with. I think it won. No, I'm getting it mixed up with the Notre Dame game. The Notre Dame game was 23 to 13. That was another one I wanted to ask you about. No, you're right.
Yeah, I do remember it was tied up, and SC had the ball and had to drive.
Yeah, and they drove down the field, and it was an impressive drive.
27-20.
Yeah, 27-20.
I believe it was 31-24, maybe, something like that.
No, it's 27-20. For them to give up 20 points under those circumstances for that defense, I was impressed with. They're a different team defensively, Don, from watching them last year. This team was way more aggressive last night. They made some big plays, but, man, they got another. Their quarterback was incredible. What's his name, Miller Moss? I mean, he was really good. But I was more impressed with the West Coast teams. Did you have a chance to watch Minnesota, Michigan State, and Wisconsin at all?
I watched Minnesota. I watched virtually all that game.
Yeah, I did too.
The defense appears to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Offense underwhelming for sure.
Very underwhelming again.
Yeah, and frankly, there were any number of teams in the Big Ten. You mentioned Michigan State. Again, the defense appeared to be much improved. Mm-hmm. I realize it's hard to tell in one game, but offense, again, was underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. And same with Wisconsin. I was not that impressed with Wisconsin.
I wasn't impressed with their quarterback particularly either.
No.
Van Dyke, is that his name?
Yeah, he's a transfer from Miami. He was okay down there. Now, Michigan State's quarterback's 18. I think he followed Jonathan Smith. He just looked overmatched at times. But those are 3 games on Iowa's schedule that, I thought they were going to win all 3 of those games anyway, but I think that even more so. Now, granted, it's 1 week. It's just 1 week. But I got to ask you about my Irish, Don. What did you think the Notre Dame Texas A&M game? Did you have a chance to watch it?
I did see a fair amount of that game. I was impressed that Notre Dame. Let's face it, Kyle Field is a tough place to play.
Yes.
Last time I checked, I think it's 108,000. Is that right?
I think there's something like that.
And those Aggies are loud. They make a lot of noise. Michigan, of course, has 100,000 plus. But it seems to me like Michigan fans are maybe a little more cultured, I guess.
Well, it's also the way the stadium's built, Don. It goes away from the field, whereas as like Penn State, the seats go up higher so the fans stay closer to the field.
Yeah, that's why I've always said Ohio State's a tougher place to play.
Yes.
Because it's more contained. It's a little more like Kinnick. You know, the beauty of the new end zone in Kinnick is loud, especially on that north end.
Yeah, it is.
If you're driving in that north end zone, good luck hearing yourself because it's going to be really loud. And you're right, the bowl, let's face it, big house is like the Rose Bowl. It's a lot of seats, but they're a long way from the field.
They are.
They sure are.
There's times where I've been at Michigan games, and it's just there's not a lot of energy there. And I think some of it is the way it's built. Now, speaking of Michigan, I watched them. Will Johnson's great. I mean, he had a pick six. But their offense, and obviously you would expect that, but their offense has some issues, Don.
Incidentally, that's one reason that Michigan was so effective last year. I just recently got through looking at last year's games. And one thing I carry on a routine basis, because it's a good stat to know, is simply this. How many, I'll put it this way, if you scored a defensive touchdown, what's your winning percentage? Well, last year, I know exactly what it was last year. It was 10 wins and 3 losses, and it seemed like at least 3 or 4 of those wins were Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan scoring touchdowns on defense, typically pass interceptions, but maybe a fumble recovery in there too. And just so you know, that's a 77% winning percentage last fall, and that's exactly what it has been over the last 9 years. You score a touchdown on defense, you win 77% of the time. That's pretty good. And incidentally, if you score a touchdown in the kicking game, now that's not nearly as likely to happen. Last year in 64 games, there were only 4 touchdowns involved in the kicking game. And the team that scored the touchdown in the kicking game won 3 out of 4. And that percentage over the last 9 years is 76%. So touchdown on defense, 77. Touchdown in the kicking game, 76. If you can score a non-traditional touchdown, that's a good thing because it probably means another win.
No, that makes sense. And I saw Georgia just dismantled Clemson. It's interesting. Dabo Swinney has been strongly against using the portal. I think I saw a stat where maybe he's had one or hardly any players at all added to their roster from the portal since like 2018 because he just doesn't believe in it. Or when did the portal come out? Was it?
It's been, 5 years, hasn't it?
Whenever it came out, they've hardly.
I think he thinks his culture is so good that he's not going to lose players, but I do believe he's lost a few players to transfer.
Yeah, and he's he's not gaining players that he needs. I mean, Kirk's not crazy about the portal, but look at Nick Jackson. Look at Cade McNamara. I mean, look at Eric All when he was healthy. So, Don, do you think that's – I mean, Clemson obviously is dropping. I mean, they are no longer elite.
Since Lawrence left.
You think it's because of him partly due to his refusal to acknowledge the portal?
Well, I think so, and I understand he'd like to think he can recruit a guy and keep him for 4 or 5 years. But I'm pretty sure I would expect to hear this. Clemson has lost players to transfer. In other words, their players have transferred elsewhere. Maybe not too many, but let's face it, if you're losing any at all and not gaining any older players, then it's going to have to affect your experience and depth on your team.
Oh, without question. And I think one of Notre Dame's receivers who had a good game the other day, I think they referred to him as a Clemson transfer. I don't follow the roster like I used to, but yeah, no, it's an interesting development, and I'm trying to think if we covered pretty much everything. I can't believe our hour's up. I hope we're talking about a win next Saturday. I think we are going to win, or Iowa's going to win. I don't know, but it's going to be a tough. I don't know. I'm confident, but I'm not super confident.
So let's put you on the spot.
We got to control those 2 receivers. They're exceptional. 13 targets last Saturday were worth 210 yards.
Got to win the turnover battle, too, obviously, right, Don?
Yeah, we need to win on turnovers. Obviously, we need to eliminate big plays. We take great pride in avoiding big plays. I think it'll be a real test to do that. If we can prevent Iowa State from making too many chunk plays, then we're going to be in good shape going forward. And I think it's one of the more explosive offenses that's going to be on our schedule the entire season.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. Anything else?
W for Iowa.
Let's hope.
Homer.
Let's hope.
I'm looking forward to it. I think we're ready to recognize, our guys are mature players. They recognize, and just for the record, as you noticed, probably Illinois State had one chunk play. They had a 37-yard pass play.
Yeah.
And Nestor was beaten. He had coverage, but he was still beaten. It was a good throw, good catch.
It was.
That was the only play that was worth 20 yards or more. I'll put it this way: if we can hold Iowa State to one explosive play, we're going to beat them.
I agree.
They're going to need more than one, and they're going to try to make more than one too. So it'll be one of our strengths, ability to prevent big plays, versus one of their strengths, ability to make big plays. That's going to make for an exciting game.
And I will say before we wrap up, I want to send out praise to Illinois State. I mean, all those opponents come in and they seem to enjoy participating in this form. But man, Illinois State put out a video of their players and Coach Spack doing the wave, not the swarm, doing the wave, and man, you could tell that they were looking forward to doing it. And at the very end of this video, there's an Illinois State lineman who's crying and he's touching his heart, and you don't know if maybe he's got a younger brother or but you could tell what it meant to Illinois State, Don, and I think that says a lot about Brock Spack. I was so touched by how, excited's not the right word, but how just they were so willing and embracing this tradition. I thought it was really neat and says a lot about his culture.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I couldn't help but notice this. He played two quarterbacks in the first quarter, and I thought both those guys actually did a pretty commendable job. Let's face it, it's not easy to play against Iowa, and they competed.
Yeah, they did.
And I did mention to Brock, I texted him as he was probably already home by the time I texted him, and I said, you don't have the issues of depth versus Missouri Valley opponents that you had today against Iowa. You're going to be just fine. And then I mentioned to him, he said, I hope people realize what an elite defense that is that we played against. And I said, yeah, I think they do realize it.
I think they do.
Mark. We take great pride in our ability to stymie the other team's offense. And then I gave him those stats from last season. Now, he's an old defensive coordinator, and his response when I mentioned we only gave up 13 explosive plays in 10 conference games last year, he had a one-word response: wow.
Yeah.
W-O-W, because I'm pretty sure at Purdue he never prevented big plays as well as this Iowa team does right now.
But no, it was a nice win, but I thought it was really cool the way Illinois State embrace that wave, because it is the greatest tradition in sports. I'm biased, but I think it is, and it was very touching. But Don, great stuff as usual. Hopefully we're back here Monday talking about 2-0 Iowa, having beaten Iowa. What would this be, 8 out of 9, 9 out of 10? Something like that.
We've been on a roll.
Yeah, been on a roll, so hopefully that will continue.
Yeah. Nothing changes from one year to the next, and it's simply this: good teams win close games.
That is true.
We demonstrated last fall we're a very good team. I think this team's going to demonstrate the same thing. It might be a little bit ugly at times on offense, but that's okay as long as we win the kicking game, we win on defense, we compete on offense. We're going to clearly be better on offense than a year ago. I have no doubt in my mind of that. But this is a formidable opponent. Iowa State's going to show up and they're going to give a great effort. Incidentally, I work a game in November. I go to Illinois State. It happens to be North Dakota at Illinois State, the same two teams that played our Iowa schools last Saturday. So got a preview of North Dakota, and maybe I can help Brock with his game planning for North Dakota in November. Okay. I'm just kidding. He didn't need my help. But it will be fun to do that North Dakota Illinois State game in November because I've already seen both of them play.
That is true. Well, Donnie, great stuff as usual. We will be back here Monday, hopefully talking about a win. Thank you, sir, and have a good week. Get some golfing in. It sounds like the weather is going to be nice.
We are going to play this week. I've already made that commitment. And Jim Long, I'm one of the football players on our very first Iowa team, is coming to town, and he's going to join Bob Wolf and myself. My golfing buddy happens to be Dr. Wolf's father, the team physician for Iowa football.
Okay.
Brian Wolf. And we are going to be back out, and the weather's going to cooperate, so I'm looking forward to a round of golf here on hopefully the best possible day as the week plays out. I'm not sure if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'll work on that this afternoon.
Okay.
Figuring out the optimum day to play. I think they're all three probably pretty good.
Okay, well, Donnie, enjoy yourself. And, yeah, it looks like the weather's going to be nice this week. So
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Don.
Let's enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you next week, too, guys.
All right.
Okay. And let's take a quick break.
1-800-800-ROSE. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country. 1-800-800-ROSE. It's so easy. Just remember one number. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist. 1-800-800-ROSE. Remember,
For a gift that your loved one will treasure for a lifetime, find it at our family-owned jewelry store in Iowa City, Hertine and Stocker Jewelers.
We can show you diamond engagement rings, colored stones, fashion jewelry, and watches.
Our jewelers are on site, so we can design jewelry for that special person in your life.
We are Hertine and Stocker, serving Iowa City and the surrounding area for 3 generations.
Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, downtown Iowa City, and HertineandStockerJewelers.com. Ask for Willa, Terry, Tim, or Kate. One of us is always there.
Don't wait for an emergency to get a backup for your car keys. Unlike the olden days, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's eKeys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys that are on the market today. For spares and lost keys, Mike's eKeys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, high security, and remote head keys. Mike's eKeys for Cars will keep you on the road. Call 319-330-9185 and schedule an appointment today. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 319-330-9185 today.
Hanging lights is a pain. Dealing with blown bulbs, dangerous installations, and the endless rat's nest of cords, there's got to be a better way, and now there is. Illuma Lights Permanent Outdoor Lighting from Big Dog Tech. Illuma Lights provides illumination for every occasion. Holiday lighting, accent lights, security, and of course, lighting for the best season, football season. The Illuma Lights app lets you create your own patterns with color, motion, brightness, and static control over every individual light, or use Big Dog's presets to transform your home or business. The professionally installed track system makes Illuma Lights LEDs virtually disappear until you turn them on. Rated at 50,000 hours, you'll enjoy stress-free convenience for years to come. No more ladders, no more hooks, no more wifey's dirty looks. That's the song you'll be singing all year long with Illuma Lights Permanent Outdoor Lighting from Big Dog Tech. Find out more at BigDogTek.net or call 319-395-0800.
Are you tired of living in a home that doesn't quite meet your needs? Then it's time to call the experts at Streets Maintenance. Their team of skilled professionals specializes in renovations and remodeling, transforming your home into the space you've always dreamed of. From kitchen bath remodels to complete home renovations, no job is too big or too small. Streets Maintenance will work with you every step of the way to ensure your vision becomes a reality. So don't wait any longer. Call Streets Maintenance to schedule your consultation at 400-4483. Let's start building your dream home today.
Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip offers the ultimate sizzle of wood-fired pizza perfection. Elevate your pizza game with over 20 wood-fired pizzas, ranging from the Tony Pepperoni, the Philly Cheesesteak Pizza, Mary Margarita, and the Tavern Supreme. From the freshest ingredients, Tavern Blue cooks their pizzas to mouth-watering perfection in their wood-fired oven, which helps bring out those old-world flavors. Fresh creative salads, tacos, burgers, signature cocktails, beer, and wine are just a taste of what Tavern Blue has to offer. Tavern Blue is a family-friendly establishment that offers mini golf, table games, darts, and foosball. Go to tavernblue.com for the latest news, events, and specials, along with full menu options. Once again, that's tavernblue.com.
There's a problem here in eastern Iowa. There's not enough Hawkeye fans. I mean, really, shouldn't everybody be a Hawkeye fan? Well, maybe not, but you should be a fan of my team at Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Hi, I'm Steve Anderson, and my team of experts at Hawkeye Title and Settlement know what they're doing. Call us at 351-8600. Hawkeye Title and Settlement, the team you love, the people you trust.
Don't let just anyone take care of your smile. At Diamond Dental, you can expect compassion, expertise, and a personalized care plan to protect your teeth for life. With more than 30 years of combined experience, Dr. Forbes and his staff are prepared to tackle even your toughest dental problems, leaving your smile healthy and sparkling. Diamond Dental offers a full range of general and cosmetic dentistry, as well as dental treatment options for snoring and sleep apnea. It's never too early to start thinking about what's best for your smile. Schedule an appointment today by calling 319-390-3703 or visiting the office at 5815 Consul Street Northeast, Suite D1 in Cedar Rapids. You can also visit DiamondDentalPC.com for more information. Dr. Forbes is a proud sponsor of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and the Inner Circle. Let the Diamond Dental team provide superior care for your entire family.
This is Leah Pasha, and I've been saying, hit a deer, call Premier, for years. But it's time for something new. It's still where you need to go for deer divots and door dings, as well as damaged dashboards. That's what my dad Nathan's driving at and dreams about. Why not say, when your car is dinged, be a deer and call Premier? I think Dad's going to love that. Premier Automotive, North Liberty's premier auto body repair shop.
Be a deer and call Premier Auto Body in North Liberty.
Diamond Dream Sports Academy, 20,000 square foot indoor facility, holds 8 batting cages, space for infield work, space for throwing and pitching and all your arm care needs. Offers private instruction, group lessons, camps and clinics, leagues, memberships. Rentals available at Diamond Dreams is open to the public.
Our top level instructors include former professional, college, and Olympic athletes. Our coaches will help these athletes achieve their full athletic potential, develop a strong work ethic, and a solid base to build. The last thing you want to do is look back and wish you had worked or played harder.
Locally owned and established in 2005, Diamond Dreams is Eastern Iowa's premier training facility. Located at 2905 Stoner Court, North Liberty. Call today and reserve your time. 319-665-2173. 319-665-2173.
When you go to a family restaurant, you want 3 things. 1, a wide selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items. 2, you want those selections to be affordable and delicious. And 3, you want to be treated like family. You get all 3 at the Midtown Family Restaurant. Breakfast items available anytime the doors are open. Legendary tenderloins, onion rings, and hot roast beef sandwiches. And special ribeye and shrimp nights. Daily specials at each location. And no matter if you're coming in solo or with a group of 20, you get the same special family treatment. The Midtown Family Restaurants at Court and Scott Streets and at the Walmart Plaza on Highway 1 West. Follow them on Facebook or at MidtownFamily.com. The family's waiting for you. GT Carr, owner of Supple's Building and Remodeling, has been offering unmatched service and quality for over 25 years. The trained professionals at Supple's Building and Remodeling will install and guarantee the products used in any job, no matter how big or small. They also stand behind their work and offer no-nonsense, exceptional customer service from design to completion and beyond. Whether it's a simple window replacement or a major house addition, you'll have the confidence that Supple's Building and Remodeling is committed to quality. Visit Supples.net. Or call them today at 319-337-2246.
Don't tell them that we love that guy. And these people say that.
I think of my cell phone. There's not a big distinction there from family to customers, which I consider to be friends.
I love working with the people.
That kind of relationship that goes deep.
When you hear those things, you think, okay, we're doing the right thing. We're doing it the right way.
We basically let you kind of walk us through the process, which is completely opposite of what a normal car dealership would do.
Deary Ford in Iowa City. See why people choose them over and over again. DearyFord.com.
Football fans, this is Bill Leixenring of the Oxyoke Inn. We are on your way to or from the game. We're ready to serve you with the same quality food and customer service you've come to trust for over 80 years. The Oxyoke Inn is serving our famous Sunday brunch buffet with lunch, dinner, banquets, and carry-out daily. From our Oxyoke family to yours, we can't wait to see you again soon in the heart of Amana.
The Oxyoke Inn. From the Hertine and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Hertine and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
It is going to be a really nice Labor Day today. Mostly sunny. We'll get to 75 for a high this afternoon with just a light easterly breeze at around 5 to 10 miles per hour here today. Tonight, partly cloudy. We'll drop to 51. Tomorrow's sunshine. High of 78 on Wednesday. It's going to get warmer, but not really all that humid. Sunshine Wednesday, 82. Next chance for rain and scattered thunderstorms Thursday night. into Friday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it is 66.
KCJJ weather brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
It's wonderful. Program is back.
So if you were to step outside right now, this is approximately the temperature that the Iowa game will be. Yeah. Maybe a little bit warmer.
Yeah, 68.
What time does it start, the game?
2:30.
2:30, that's what I thought. Yeah. I wish it was, I love 11 o'clock starts.
Well, you get to see a lot more football.
Yeah.
I do anyway.
Yeah, 2:30 kind of, you can't watch the end of the early games or the beginning of the late games.
It's on CBS.
On CBS.
Oh, by the way, if you have DirecTV, you've just lost ESPN and a bunch of other Disney networks.
That sucks.
That does suck.
Yeah.
I don't have DirecTV.
Maybe I do, though. So that may be enough to push me over the edge and
get YouTube?
Get off my ass and get YouTube and figure it out.
I'll come over and help you learn how to use it. Now that I'm a pro, I can do it left-handed now. I even use left hand sometimes. So, you know what I don't like, though?
Off.
Why would you put the mute and the volumes on the side of the remote control? That seems so stupid. I hit that mute thing by mistake. Not that it's a big deal, but does that make sense? Wouldn't you just put them on the surface?
I noticed that, too.
It's
on,
stupid.
The upstairs.
It's kind of more like a phone.
Well, I've moved on from MediaCom, so I need something to bitch and moan about YouTube, and I found it.
Well, there you go.
I hit mute like 3 or 4 times during the Caitlin game the other day, and it was frustrating.
You'll get used to it.
I know. You just got to adapt. You just got to keep grinding.
If you don't
like
hear
the Fever. The Fever were 1-8. Now they're 17-16.
I'll tell you, they
fire Christy Side. She doesn't know what she's doing. That narrative finally is over, at least for now.
Oh no! As soon as you lose a game, Sides doesn't know what she's doing.
I think she's done a pretty good job.
I do too. She's helped Caitlin get things figured out.
Yes.
And her
Kelsey
team is
Mitchell's
playing together so
ass,
much better.
too.
Kelsey Mitchell's playing great. Hopefully they re-sign her. And they have David Letterman sitting in the stands with Lisa Bluter. How do you not? You can't top that.
Shaq
was there.
Shaq. Just dwarfing. It's like he had kids, sitting by him, even though they weren't kids.
He is massive.
I know.
I love that one because you know how they always race Kenny Smith up to the big video screen.
Yeah.
There was one where Shaq was starting to beat him, and Kenny pushed him into the Christmas tree. And, of course, Shaq overreacted. Like, it was funny. Shaq's not afraid to make fun of himself. That was one of the funniest clips. You can easily find it. It is hilarious. Kenny and then he went flying and knocked over the tree, and it was funny.
Hello.
Hello. They also have that race over at the halftime of all those basketball games where Kenny's going to go and talk and point on the
Yeah, that's what I was
replay.
talking about. They raced to the video
And
board.
they raced over there, and one time Kenny went over and fell over the steps.
Oh, that's happened a couple times. And there was one time where Charles Barkley tripped trying to beat him. But my favorite was Kenny pushing Shaq into the Christmas tree. It's hilarious. It is funny.
Well, what was with all the technicals that Caitlin was shooting the other night?
Emotion. I mean, how many did she shoot? I don't recall.
There were quite a few of them.
A couple.
I mean,
I think there was 2.
It was out there body slamming. It's like they decided to play football.
So you're talking about the game 2 games ago, the one with Diamond
The
DeShields?
one on Friday.
Yeah, Diamond DeShields. I'm not sure
There
what.
were more than 2 then.
I'm not sure what. I thought she was talking. Yeah, I don't
That
know
was
what.
with the sky.
Yeah, I don't know what Diamond DeShields was trying to accomplish. It was not a good look.
No, it sure wasn't.
And I've seen that 17% of the flagrant fouls have been called against Caitlin. Have called against players against Caitlin. There's some that for some reason resent the fact that she's going to help them all triple their salaries here, and I don't get it. But Diamond DeShields just made an ass out of herself, I thought.
Sometimes those girls better watch what they say because TV goes on them. Those aren't nice words.
Yeah, but to me, that's TV's fault for being everywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be. If these girls want to cuss on the court, it just looked like Diamond DeShields was going out of her way to get on, not to hurt Caitlin, but to just knock her down. I just didn't get it. It just was a bad look. Like the third time she knocked her down, she acted stunned. I mean, she ran out of her way, and it was like Jay.
Yeah,
it looked like Jay Higgins.
What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, it was not a good look.
And to keep cool at the game, I just took a wet towel, put it over my head, and put a frozen bottle of water down my front, and I kept cool.
You are turning me on.
I kept cool. And the guy next to me, he got up to go out to get something, so I knocked his seat down, and I said, hey, when you leave and the sun's out here, you better put your seat down because those cushions get awfully hot.
I wouldn't know because they didn't give us our cushions that we paid for.
Well, then you better start yelling.
Oh, we'll get them.
Yeah.
And I noticed, I wish the ADA was, they only are at certain places, and they only take you to certain places. And I remember way back when you could call them, they come pick you up, take you there, and then take you back.
That's what killed it for me. Well, that and Bud gone, but I mean, no, we had to go to C, and they just drop us off in the middle of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is as far as we go. I don't get that.
Well, and then somebody was complaining. They say, how come they can give those big guys that don't even need to have one, they'll give them a ride all the way up to the press box, and they don't need them, but those of us that need them, because after I had that last COVID, I don't breathe very well, and I went to the iClub breakfast, and there's none of them over there. They said, well, no, you have to go to certain spots. And I thought I had to go farther over to get to one than I had to go to the ball game.
Yeah, we tailgate with a guy who's a larger carriage and kind of needs the ADA shuttle, and, they don't come like they used to.
Who do we yell at?
Don't know.
I don't know, I've talked to Josh before, but...
Well, he should at least be able to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah. Because I just figured, I mean, it's really bad. And we can only drop you off. Now, some of them will drop you off where you want to, but most of them will say, well, we can only drop you off here. Well, then I've got twice as far to go walk to get to my place.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a problem.
And I know quite a few people can take it. They just said that they're just going to watch it at home. But you like to go and participate in it and yell and scream and
sure,
and say your foul words, whatever.
Well, it was a fun game.
Yeah, I thought we were kind of dead the first half, but then we came to life in the second one.
We were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit in the first half. We'd have some good things happen, and then there would be a penalty, or and
well, I saw that great run, and then all of a sudden. Nothing, the poor guy. I forgot what happened. You
mean Caden Weegen's punt return for a touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a block in the back, and it happened right in front of us, and we saw the block, but there wasn't a flag right away. It was a late flag.
Well, that's what threw me, too.
Yeah.
Because it came late. I thought, oh, they missed it, yay. And then, and they went on, and I thought everything was fine, but... My sister said, the score didn't move up. I said, oh, no.
No, and that's too bad because that was a great return by Caden
that was a good run.
To be nullified, and it's too bad.
Well, and the weather's going to be better this week.
It's going to be
cooler.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yeah. It'll be perfect.
Okay, go. You guys have a good day.
All right, thanks, Karen.
Bye.
By the way, she brought up COVID. I got my COVID shot yesterday.
Good.
So... you can get the new vaccines for this year's COVID.
Good, and I need to get my flu shot too. So
we do all that late October, early November.
Yeah. They are giving COVID shots today at Hy-Vee between now and 2 o'clock.
Which Hy-Vee?
Well, I was in Coralville, so that's where I got it. But you can also Midtown is open today. Until 2 o'clock.
Oh, good.
So,
are most restaurants closed?
Many.
Yeah, I'd say about 50% of them.
Okay.
Yeah, businesses, are closed. people who wanted to have the day off for some reason. I don't like it.
I'm here.
Everybody's
Technically,
here.
it should be no Labor Day.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're here.
Hunter's here. Molly's here.
Yeah.
Scoots is here.
I'm here. I lead by example.
All right. Culture. It's culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live and local, 365, Pat.
Yep.
So, Pat, what do you think?
Yeehaw.
So, do you think Kirk and Mary watched the game together?
No, Kirk said he was going to watch it by himself, but who knows? I mean, maybe by the halftime, maybe he needed some love from his wife.
This idiot on social media.
Love and support from his wife.
Goes, yeah, maybe we should get rid of Kurt. I said, before you make any
When you say
adjustments to the coaching staff,
Facebook?
maybe you should know the coach's first name.
The best thing is just don't. Where do you see these things?
Facebook.
I mean,
it was right under.
Well, Twitter does not have an exclusive on idiots.
Yeah, there's idiots. No, it was right after I posted a picture of the win and everything. This guy that he's, Facebook friend, but he's still
I was
commenting
reminded.
like that.
I was reminded about Twitter. I tweeted. It was when Trump's. I tweeted that the Iowa offense produced 5 touchdowns and Trump wants to legalize marijuana. I'm like, what is this? The Twilight Zone? Because I thought both were funny, and of course, right away, this Hawkeye MAGA, ultra mega MAGA patriot that's on there and says, "I'll tell you what, Trump can do whatever he wants at this point because I'm just tired of the weakness." And I'm like, I ain't getting it. I'm like, dude, take your drivel. And he fired back something nasty, so I blocked him. I'm just not going to do it.
Hello.
Hey, greetings from Western Kansas, guys. How we doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
Hey, you're talking about Twitter. One of the best things I read all weekend was, and I paraphrase a little bit here, but somebody said on Twitter that the first half looked like Brian. They just wanted to remind us what it used to be like, and then the second half is what we have to look forward to in the future. So
okay.
I kind of like that idea.
Ish.
Yeah, I will say it's time to move on from Brian Ferentz, but I get what you're saying.
It is.
And there's going to be some times where I don't want to think the offense isn't fixed yet.
We're not going to put up 480 yards against Ohio State, okay?
Well, they're not going to put up 480 yards against Iowa State.
No, they're not.
They may never get over 400 again this year, but no, there's reason for hope. They did what they had to, but I would just say let's move on from Brian Ferentz.
Yeah, I agree.
I did see something I can't remember who tweeted it, but since we're there, someone tweeted at halftime Iowa's score of 6-0 and Maryland's score of 20-0, and they did that to rub it in the kind of it's you can't blame everything on Brian. So yeah, you're right. That stuff was good. That's Twitter. That's the beauty of Twitter. Just anyone can be a comedian.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty funny. But, like you said, Pat, it's time to let it die. It's over. This is, Lester's time, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for this team because we saw some glimpses on Saturday of what this team could be.
Yeah.
And, man, Ohio State, they probably don't really need to sweat a lot, but, we showed stuff on Saturday that it's going to cause them to have to pay a little more attention to us than what they were thinking. We're not going to be the walkover that they probably think we are right now.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to make any huge judgments like that based on one game. I'm just not ready to go there yet, good or bad.
I'm not either, but I will also say that I am enjoying being ranked number 40 offensively for at least 1 week.
No, I say live in the moment, enjoy the moment. But I'm not necessarily disagree. But I don't think Ohio State's opinion of Iowa changed at all by Saturday. That's just me. But you're entitled to your opinion, and it is a fun time right now. The offense was fun to watch for a change, and it all starts when they can run the ball. When they can run the ball, everything becomes easier and more enjoyable to watch.
And then you were right about that, Pat. There is a lot of depth in running back, and also in tight end. We got all that. The offensive line looked really good in the second half. I mean, the hole that they made for that touchdown run was just.
And it was his 64-yard, it was a loaded box. There was 10 guys at the line. I mean, that's why there were no D-backs to chase him once he got past the linebackers because they were all at the line of scrimmage. But no, there was plenty to build on.
They punched that hole, though, man, and he was gone. That speed.
Yeah, I think Caleb's their best running back. I think when it comes down to just their best back, Caleb. Now, is he the most versatile? I would rather have Kamari Moulton out catching screen passes. Even Don Patterson, I still think they're going to figure out ways to get Terrell Washington more involved in the passing game. They didn't need to show a ton to win Saturday either. They stuck with their plan, and like Cade said, that success they had at the end of the second quarter kind of gave them a little bit of a jolt of energy going into halftime, and they kind of built off that. But the main thing is what they just wore them down. They were just they were just a bigger, more physical team. They just wore them down on a hot day. Those blocks were easier to make in the second half against a worn-down defensive front.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, though. Well, let's hope they can keep it up against Iowa State and prove this is still a Hawkeye state.
All right.
So let's go. I'm with you.
All right, go Hawks. You guys have a great day.
All right.
But no, I just thought it was funny that Donald Trump wants to legalize marijuana. I mean, I think next he's going to say, open the border. You know, I mean, don't you find that funny?
You know, no, because he lies, and he's not going to do any such a damn thing.
Well, I mean, it's like IVF. The country can't pay for IVF. He doesn't even know what the damn thing costs. It costs
but he wants to legalize
tens of thousands.
He wants to legalize weed.
Yeah.
And can you imagine Trump smoking like a big blunt?
No.
I can't either.
No.
But no, when I saw that, I just laughed. I mean, anything to get elected.
But then on the other hand, Deacon Hill had a 24-yard touchdown run Saturday.
Yep, and I retweeted it, and I think I'm one of like 1 million people that retweeted it. Yeah, I mean, they were down 40-0 at the time, too, I think, or something.
And there wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him.
Yeah,
it was such a surprise.
And I think they were scoreless at the time. I think it was their first touchdown. Yeah, they were playing Montana State, I think. So, yeah, good for Deacon. Happy for Deacon.
Yeah.
And it was a good weekend for Hawkeye football. The weather, a little hot, but still, you could have done a lot worse. And then to get the receiver yesterday, there's a lot of momentum for Hawkeye football.
That was really good to see. I wonder if the offense pushed him over the edge yesterday, seeing what they did, or if it had any effect at all.
Well, I'm sure it probably didn't hurt, but I don't think it. I think this. I was told this decision was coming like a week ago.
Yeah.
Hello.
And it was all over the message boards and Twitter. I don't think it was a big surprise to a lot of people.
Hello.
Hey guys, we got the W.
Yeah.
Yep.
We did.
We need to get Sullivan in the game somehow.
What the hell? What are you?
Well, I mean, I agree with Donnie. I think they could have used him in the fourth quarter, but no. I mean, if Cade plays that well, Brendan Sullivan's not going to play.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen him play the whole fourth quarter.
Or at least 8 or 9 minutes of the fourth. So I do agree if that's what you're referring to, but no, I don't think they need Brendan if Cade's playing that well.
No.
No, he needs his reps, but some of these teams, hopefully they don't try to take his knee out.
Well,
you mean of Cade's knee? I mean, I don't know if they'll intentionally, but there are times when tackles are made by someone's knee. That's why they get hurt.
Yeah, and we got a good O-line finally. We got a bunch of seniors. They're healthy finally.
Well, let's hope they stay that way.
Big plus.
Yeah, I mean, they were mostly pretty healthy last year. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, we just can't get carried away over one game. Or maybe we can.
Well, we can.
We can, and then have Iowa State to stuff us 28-3.
And then it's back to get rid of McNamara and fire Kirk. And
And we got a bunch of young 19-year-old kids that are pretty damn good.
Well, yes, we do.
Yeah, some of them might even be 18.
Yeah, some of them are 20.
Some of them are 20.
First half sucked, but I got TO'd and went out and mowed the yard.
There you go. The Hawks helped you.
It was 23 to.
So you basically gave up on them, is what you're saying.
Well, you can always review it on the news.
I guess. I guess you can. I prefer to watch the game.
You bring my ass in here, you're staying. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Adios.
Adios. What do you think of that, Captain?
Adios, MFers.
These are your people. These are your people.
No.
Yep.
No, they call you. No.
So you're saying that guy never calls unless I'm here?
That's right. Yours. All yours.
Yeah. So, but I disagree with him that I think Brendan needed reps in the game late. That would be the only judgment I would make.
I would like to see it earlier.
But there was no reason to put when they were rolling in the third quarter, there's no reason to put Brendan Sullivan in.
No.
Cade solidified the starting position at least for a week, but I'm not sure if it was. I think a lot of this was just created out of our own imagination. When I say fans, media did this too. I mean,
sure they did.
And I don't think it was ever as open or as close as what people are saying. Now, if Cade comes out and he is just crap for 3 quarters against Iowa State, I don't know if they'd put him in the fourth quarter, but I think maybe going into that next game there would be more. But I think right now it's Cade McNamara's job. And I think he did nothing but solidify his position with the way he played in the second half on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was the way Cade played the way we hoped he would play, and I thought he looked very solid the second half.
And you have 200. Well, here I got the stats.
What was he, 13 for 14 in the second half?
Something
I mean, it was
like
terrific.
Yeah, I mean there was not much that went wrong. Let's see. McNamara was 21 of 31 for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 sacks, long of 31. I mean, they targeted Lachey 8 times, caught 6. Targeted Vanderzee 7 times, caught 5. Targeted Gill 3 times, caught all 3. Ostringa 3 and 3. LaShawn Williams 2 and 2. I mean, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that caught passes. So, yeah, no, it was a great way to start the season, and it went the way it should be if Iowa is going to be a legitimate possible playoff team.
That's right.
You need to beat a team like Illinois State, and you need to beat them convincingly.
And they did.
And they did. You know, and Iowa State, I mean, I know they bent a lot. They still won 21-3. I'm sure the game never felt like it was in doubt. But Don's right, though. Their receivers are really good. They always seem to
have good
better receivers than Iowa. Always.
They do.
Always. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the offense they run or what have you. But the big concern for me, though, is Rocco Beck is a completely different quarterback than he was when he faced Iowa. That was his, second start?
Yeah.
He's a completely different quarterback now. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I feel much better about them playing here, but they've also shown that they can win in Ames. So we'll see. I think the fans will be in prime shape. 2:30. That's plenty of time to just get freaking blitzed. And
you always have everything.
Well, do you think there'll be any drunk fans in the stands?
Well, yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah, you act like we're going to church. It's a freaking football game.
You act like they're all drunk.
I'm not saying all, but I think there's going to be a lot of fans in there.
Every one of the stands
is going to be a blitz. It's going to be an alcoholic blitzkrieg for some of them. And that's the joy of the whole thing, the joy of sport. Would you say 50% of the fans in there would pass a breathalyzer? Let's say halftime. Do 50% of the fans, would they pass a breathalyzer? What's your estimation?
I think there's a substantial amount of people that don't drink.
Okay.
I mean, like my brother and sister-in-law, this is the first year they're not going in about 40 years, but they don't drink.
So you're saying you think 4 out of 10 fans would fail a breathalyzer?
I'd say 3 out of 10.
I think you guys are Mary Poppins. No way. It's like a Motorhead concert.
Yeah.
I would say...
You just have people ripping their shirts off, throw it up.
I would say 75% of the students probably would not pass.
What do you think of that, Captain? That's our future. Just lost in a haze of alcohol.
Well, look at who we ended up with when we were lost in a haze.
Yeah. But no, it's going to be a fun atmosphere. And the thing with me, and I always look at things, Iowa State is so overdue. I know they won that game. They're overdue to have some good luck against Iowa. That's what I worry about, the law of averages. And I worried about it when they finally won that game. When did they win, 2 years ago?
2 years ago?
Yeah. And
what a terrible game.
I know it was. And I just, sometimes I worry about, they're overdue, and maybe that happens. But who knows? I still think Iowa's defense, though, Iowa's defense against their big plays, like Don said, that's going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, it really is.
Well, we'll find out in, 6 days or 5? Yeah. 6.
6.
Yep.
No, Sunday would be 5.
Yeah, it is
5.
5.
5. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was a wonderful show.
Thanks
Great
again,
show.
Don Patterson, coming out on Labor Day. I mean, giving us his labor on Labor Day. What do you think of that?
Well, the
That's
sheriff came out on Labor Day.
What did he come out for?
He does a bit with us.
Oh, what do you? Is it like a comedy bit or
Not a
what?
bit. Yeah, that's
I mean,
what
what's
it
he out there
is.
telling jokes about?
He's telling jokes.
Yeah, about arresting people. Hey? Hey, what happens when a felon?
What the hell?
All right, everybody, enjoy your Labor Day.
All right, have a great day, everybody. HawkFanatic.com. Check it out. It's free.
KCJJ Weather.